And have to knock me out, but I'm still holding the throne. You'll never know till it's over. So pretty it hurts. Just beware of the thorns.
Okay, everybody, I'm back with Stephen Morris, and this is on Harvey Talks Prison, and we're going to be talking about his ideas for a halfway house. You want to get started on that, Stephen?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to skip over my second bit, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that because that's important to my idea for a halfway house. Because it's about recidivism, and a lot of people don't
Right,
understand the problem that we have with recidivism, and that's the necessary. That's why the halfway house is necessary, is to cut back on recidivism. So basically, in prison, because the other thing is that people don't understand how prison changes a person from who they
right,
are before they went
right.
to prison, and that's a very important thing to understand because that's what leads to a lot of recidivism. There's 500,000 people right now that are back in prison from a violation that had nothing to do with crime. It had to do with a non-criminal act that sent them back because of the policies,
Right.
the extra rules and regulations that they had to abide by. But they're different people. Like prison does change you, and so I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But the biggest way that it changes you is that there's no hiding in prison. You can't run away from your problems. You have
No.
to confront your problems, and that's just not the way it is for people that have never been to prison. They're just like, you could sit in your house all day. You can not go down that street. You can do
Right.
these things. In prison, that's not an option. So what I call them is blackbirds. You might you might have gone to prison for being a black sheep, but when you get out, you're a blackbird. So because it's all about what your ability is to succeed is what it's all about. So
Exactly.
my my problem was that I always my biggest thing when it came to what sending me to prison is that I always believed in being there for people that really needed it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want anybody to go to prison, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that they're not going to go to prison. And sometimes that means doing things that aren't legal because I don't want them to go to prison. And I don't really consider that a criminal act, but you know, if I'm violating the law, it's a criminal act.
Right.
But it's not criminal activity. Criminal activity is
It's
when
completely
somebody is
different. Yeah.
constantly going out and exploiting. They're like selling drugs on the street. They're breaking into stuff. That's criminal activity. You know what I'm saying? A criminal act and criminal activity is two different things. And so in my after I got out prison my last time, where we at on the time? All right. So after I got out of prison my last time, I was done with it. All the criminal activity stuff, I didn't want to have nothing to do with it. I had no interest in it. There was nothing you were going to tell me that was going to make me consider it. I'm not going to do it, but I still had that attitude that no matter what, I'm going to protect people that I care about and from people that are acting like idiots. Let's
Right.
be polite about it. And so I get a call from a girlfriend that's dating, not my girlfriend, a friend of mine that happens to be a female that's dating a friend of mine, and he'd gone down to Virginia Beach, you know, with somebody else, and she wanted to kind of get back at him by not sitting at home. She wanted to go to the beach, and so she called me up because it's like if she's going to go to the beach, and he's going to find out about it, she'd rather know that she went to the beach with me and not just anybody, so because he knows me, he's a good friend of mine, and so that's not going to be a problem. um so but she just doesn't want to be stuck in the house while he's enjoying himself at the beach doing whatever, and she just wants to show that she can get out and also enjoy life. And so we we set that up. His sister was also getting off work at the time. We picked her up after work. Then I had a coworker that told me he wanted to go to the beach that weekend, and so I called him up and told him, "Look, I'm heading to the beach. You want to ride?" And he said he was actually getting back from the beach, but he was almost back, and he said, that he was willing to ride with us back up to the beach in Ocean City. We're going to go to Ocean City. So my friend that she's trying to get back at is in Virginia Beach. And we're going to go to Ocean City. And then my brother was getting back into town on a train that night, and he wasn't going to be back till midnight. So all this had to be coordinated around other people's agendas. You know what I'm saying? Like, because my brother wanted me to pick him up and bring him home, but I'm like, well, I want to go to the beach, so I'm going to pick you
Right.
up, but I'm going to take you to the beach. And he didn't really anticipate all that, but that's just where the ride was going at the time. So we get up to Ocean City, and it's late by the time we actually get up to Ocean City. I picked up my brother from the bus station at midnight, and then took him out to Ocean City, and so it was hours. And we just really want to go up there and spend the next day up there. And it's a question of, do we want to drive all the way out there and just get a hotel room? We're like, nah, let's see if we could find a party going on, because this is spring break weekend, and so there's a lot of people up there, and they're just going to be having parties, and you got people in and out. They don't really care if they know you. Come in as long as you're being cordial. You know what I'm saying? And then you're just having a good time. They don't care. So we're thinking, let's go up there, find a party going on, and get in where we fit in, and enjoy that. And if we need a couple of hours of rest, we can rest in that hotel, and then we can go out and enjoy the beach the next day. And but when we get up there, it's late. It's too late. The parties are dead. And we parked down on, like, I don't know, maybe First or Second Street, but we didn't know the police station is on First Street. We didn't even know that. And but that's where we parked at, and then we walked up the boardwalk. We basically walked all the way up the boardwalk into Delaware. That's how far up the boardwalk we were going to,
Wow.
just looking for music, and we didn't hear any. But the only people out on the boardwalk that night were people that had basically been partying already all night long, and they're drunk, and the only reason they're still up is because they can't go. They're not ready for bed, and now they're just gonna see who they can take advantage of, like rob and stuff like that, and so, and that's not what we're there for. We're not there for that kind of entertainment. We just want to go up and enjoy the beach. But I mean, that element is there, and so I'm trying to avoid it. We go all the way up. We basically walk up to 101st Street, and then we turn around, and we're just gonna go back to the car because we don't got anything going on. But on the way back down the boardwalk, I notice a group of guys got talking over by one of the buildings, and I don't know what they're doing, but it looks a little shady. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're talking to somebody, and but whatever it did look a little suspect. So it didn't look like they were all friends. It looked like it was a group of three guys talking to one guy, and so I don't know if it was a robbery, a drug deal. I don't know what it was, but the important thing was that I was like, we don't need to be engaged in that. So I tried to divert my friend's attention to look the other way, and to our left, the sun was coming up. That's the where the beach was when you're coming back down the boardwalk, and so I was like, look, everybody, the sun is coming up. Look at the sunrise, beautiful sun. I didn't care about the sunrise. I wanted to take their attention and turn it away from
Right.
the hotel. You know what I'm saying? And so everybody's looking and they're like, oh yeah, well, it's beautiful, it's precious, and all this stuff. I didn't care about. I just want to get past this situation that I saw, and I don't want to draw attention to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want other people concerned about it, because that's another thing in prison. You just learn how to stay out of things that aren't your business,
Right.
regardless of
Exactly.
if it's somebody could really use your assistance. It's not your business. Just stay out of it. And so I'm trying to walk past it, but anyway, they got distracted as we were passing, and they looked over at our group, I guess, to see if they're being noticed by our group. And but that distraction allowed the other guy that they were interacting with to run away. And when he ran away, they didn't realize it at first. They turned back around when it looked like it was safe. We were past them. And then boom, he's gone. And so, they're a little bit flustered, I guess. And so but then they're thinking, well, what about these guys? You know what I'm saying? That we distracted them, even though it was unintentional. That's not what the intention was. But they just looked at us like we're the next target on the board. And so they come walking down the boardwalk, and I saw them, because I'm walking and I'm looking, you know what I'm saying? And because you know how it is when you're in prison, you got to be observant. And so even though you don't have to be obviously observant, you better be observant. So I'm picking all this up. I can see that they're coming. And I'm not trying to highlight anybody's attention to it because they're not going to react the way I'm going to react. And so these guys come walking up, a little fast stepping to kind of catch up with us. And they come up alongside of us because we're looking to the left, so they walk up on the left side of us. So now we're on the boardwalk and we're pretty much all the way on the left side because there's a wall, a little flood wall there. And but they were like a foot away from that, and they decided to walk. And the boardwalk is wide. The boardwalk, I would say 20, 24 feet wide. I don't know exactly how wide it is, but it's wide, too wide for them to be saying that's the side that they want to pass us on. So when they pass us on that side, they're literally like this close, and they're looking right at everybody when they're going past them. And so of course you're already looking that way, and somebody goes that close to you, and you're like, whoa, where'd you come from? And they're like, what are you looking at? Because they just want to start something. And because the people I was with weren't aware of this developing, they were a little bit blindsided. And so they were like, look, man, we're just looking at the sunrise. You can see the sunrise right over there. That's all we're looking at. I don't even know where you came from.
They didn't have
And
a clue, did they?
started to get it. They didn't have a
Yeah.
clue. No. And but I was starting to get a little bit angry because although I was trying to avoid the situation, I didn't want my friends sounding like punks
Right.
to these idiots. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to intervene, and I said that I was like, look, I don't know what anybody else is looking at because I'm not going to try to include anybody else.
Right.
And when I'm going to intervene, it's going to be me. If somebody else wants to do something, that's on them. I'm not going to invite them in. I'm gonna do my thing. So I told them, look, I don't know what anybody else is looking at, but I know what I'm looking at. And so they were like, really? What exactly is that? You got something to say? You know what I'm saying? What is it that you feel like you want to say? And so I told them, I can't remember the exact language, and it was probably a lot worse than what I'm going to try to say it is. But I basically said I'm looking at three bitches.
Right.
But I probably said it even more rude than that. Because once I pick a fight with you, I'm gonna go all in where you can't.
Well,
I'm not gonna let you back down.
In Missouri prison, you call somebody a bitch, you better be ready to fight,
Yeah, there is no backing down. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going. The opportunity to avoid a fight was to not get that close. Once you got that close, now that opportunity is gone. I'm not going to allow you to back down. I'm telling you,
Right.
please, let's get it on. And but I'm not going. I don't need to say it all like that. So these there was three of them, and one of them is bigger than the rest. He's probably, I don't know, 40, 60 pounds, thereabouts, bigger than me. But then he's got two other friends with him, you know what I'm saying, that are basically, I guess, my size. His friends were my size, but he was a good 40 to 60 pounds bigger than me. And he comes stepping at me like, okay, well, let's see where this is going to go. And I'm like, all right. And so my friend's sister was there, and she didn't want me dealing with these guys, engaging with these guys. So she tried to grab me to be like, come on, let's get out of here. And I shook her off me because I'm like, don't ever grab me when I, you know what I'm saying, when I'm about to engage with somebody, she kind of grabbed me like a bear hug, and I'm like, don't do that. That's
Yeah,
the,
no.
you want to get my attention, wave. Don't grab me. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of threw her off me, and uh, she's not exactly a small person. You know what I'm saying? She was probably twice my size alone. You know, so but I tossed her off because I'm ready to hurt this guy. So I'm ready to go, and I'm like, come on, you want to do some stuff? Let's get it on. I don't mind that we can do this. And and as he got close to me, he got within about, maybe when he got to about 10 feet from me, I saw him reach in his pocket with his right hand, like this, stick his right hand in his pocket. And I don't know why, because he's bigger than me. And why would you possibly want to put your hand in your pocket if you're going to engage somebody unless you're going to retrieve something?
Right.
So what I did was I lunged forward, and with my left hand, I cuffed him like this. I stuck my left hand down here and I pushed it down to keep his hand stuck in his pocket. And and when I did that, it perfectly lined me up to hit him with my right. Boom. And I hit him right in his nose and just dropped him like a paperweight. And as soon as that happened, his friends turned around and started running away. And then my coworker that was with me, he apparently he had a, I don't know if it was a switchblade or a butterfly knife or whatever, but he whips this thing out and like, come here, and he starts chasing after the other two guys that are running away. And this guy's on the ground, and I heard something hit the ground when he fell down besides him. And so I'm looking down to see what it is, and I can't really see it in the, because it's still really early morning hours of the sun. The sunrise just coming up, but it's not. It's up enough to look nice on the horizon, but it's not really putting a lot of light out. And then I noticed something sitting there on the boardwalk, and so I reached down and I pick it up, and it's a firearm. And I really didn't like that idea. I was thinking of all
Right.
things this could have been. Why did it have to be a firearm? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, because and well, I'm saying that because I know how I am when I get mad, and the last thing you want me to be in possession of when you have pissed me off is a firearm.
Yeah, and you're on
And
parole
the
too,
only
right?
thing worse than me being in possession, huh?
You was on
What was
parole
that?
too.
Yeah, I was on parole. But the last thing you want me being in possession of is a firearm. And the only thing worse than me being in possession of a firearm when I'm mad is that I'm in possession of a firearm that somebody else brought to the fight. That
Right.
that's don't you bring the firearm to the fight and then allow me to get a hold of it, because you're not going to like the result.
Right.
And so I'm I'm looking at this. So this is a 25 caliber. It's not a big gun, but it's a Beretta, and a Beretta is a nice gun. And and I checked the chamber, and it there's something chambered. I'm not checking the clip and all that, but I'm like, there is something chambered. And I checked the safety. It was on safety. I clicked it off safety, and I don't know if it's, you know double action only or what. So I just go ahead and cock it back. And when I cocked it back, he heard that noise, and he was slowly collecting himself, and he starts patting his pockets and realizing he doesn't have his firearm while I'm sitting there looking at it. And and he's trying to figure out where'd my gun go. And but when he hears me cock it back, he knows I got his firearm, and he tried to kind of come at me to grab it. And but it's too late by that point. So I put it right to his forehead, and and at first he stops. He stops like a deer in headlights, and so I'm gonna give him the chance, because I was already ready to fight anyway. So I don't I'm not nervous. I'm not scared. I'm not none of that. I was not, none of that ever existed anyway. So I want to see, what is he going to do. You know what I'm saying? And then he turns and tries to run away. And at that point, I should have dropped it. I should have let it go. I mean, the threat was over. There's no self defense argument after
Right.
that fact. As soon as he turned around and he was leaving, um, there's no justifiable reason for doing what I did do. And what I did do was I shot him. And I shot him because I was, I'm thinking about it in my head, and I was angry knowing he brought that firearm and he was reaching for it when he was approaching me. And that just really, really irritated me. And so I'm like, if you bring a gun, you better maintain control of that gun, because you're gonna figure out what it can do. You know what I'm saying? What you intended to do to somebody else, you're gonna feel like what could happen to you with that gun. And so I shot him with it. And I'm not saying that in a good way. It's just that's just the way I did it,
The way it
because I
was.
was
Yeah.
I was upset. That's why I did that. Yeah, and so I'm not trying to in any way say that was the right thing to do. I'm just saying that is what I did, because I was upset. So he goes down, and then my friends are grabbing on me, and they're like, "We got to get out of here." The sirens went off instantly from all different directions, all across up and down the
Wow.
boulevard, and because I guess they just heard the gunshot and they hit the sirens, but they don't know where the gunshot's coming from. They just, probably had the windows down in their patrol cars and heard a gunshot and clicked on their sirens, like that's going to help them get it any closer. But I did know that there is hotels all along the boardwalk where I'm at, and anybody in that hotel is going to heard that gunshot, and so they're going to call it in, and then the police are going to know the location, and they will know where to respond to. So it was time to go, but my friends have grabbed me and they're like, "Come on, we got to go, we got to dip out," and they wanted to run back to the vehicle, which I didn't know at the time was parked beside the police station. um Not the actual direction you really want to go if you're trying to evade, is to the police station. But they uh they wanted to go down the back alleys and down the and stay in the shadows, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, because that's just going to draw attention, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I'm just going to walk right back down the boardwalk. So they went on about it their own way, and they kind of left me to I was like, I'll get down there on my own. And so my second big mistake in this was that I kept the gun, and I kept the gun because it was a nice firearm. And number one, it was a nice firearm, and number two, I was like, how exactly would I get rid of it that I would think is safe? Like, I don't want to just throw it in a dumpster. I don't want to throw it in the ocean where any other person could go pick it up. Some kid pick it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, I'm gonna secure the firearm. I'm gonna keep it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I didn't plan on doing anything extra with it. You know what I'm saying? But it was a nice firearm, and I also didn't want some kid to go pick it up. So I finally get back down there. Well, before I get back down to the car, there's a guy running up the boardwalk, and he just looks like a he looks like a beach bum, coming running up the boardwalk in my direction. But I notice he's got a badge on a necklace that's swaying, you know, as he's running. He's coming in my direction. Now, I don't know if this guy's gonna grab me or not. So, but I do know that if he puts his hands on me, then I'm just gonna unload this gun in him. And even though it's only a 25, it's like I will unload the entire clip in you, And luckily, he didn't grab me, So I walked right past him, and he just ran in the opposite direction, right past me. And I was sure he was going to try to snatch my arm or whatever, and but that didn't happen, luckily, and which we're going to get into later about another situation like that. But anyway, so I go home, and after that next morning, the sun's up. We basically passed that on the beach. I get highly sunburned because I passed that on the beach, and so I go home, and I'm a little bit not feeling well. And now I don't know nothing about that guy at the time. At this time, I don't know anything except for that. You know what I'm saying? That situation happened with some strangers. I don't know that guy personally. I don't know his friends. I don't know nothing about them. And they don't know anything about me. They actually described me. I got in their case file because they wrote a report, and they actually described me as a Hispanic gang member. That's how they describe me, a Hispanic member or a light skinned guy. Like everything about the way they described me, I was like, well, they would never find me. They would never find me by the way that they described me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know why they viewed me like that, like some Hispanic, some light skinned black guy. I'm like, I don't know why that's the way they describe me. That is the way they describe me. But when I go home, um, I'm trying to forget about it, put it behind me, move on with my stuff. And but people running their mouth, you know what I'm saying? People they thought it was entertaining, and so they wanted to talk about it with other people. And I had coworkers coming up to me and they're like, "Yo, Steve, you know what I'm saying? Like I heard this Fahim is saying some stuff over here." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, he said that he went to Ocean City with you and some stuff happened." And I don't know if it's true or not, but you might want to talk to Fahim because maybe he shouldn't be running his mouth like that to just whoever. And so I was like, what? So I go over and I'm like, I talk to him and I'm like, please don't do that. And but this guy that came up to me, this other coworker that overheard what Fahim was saying, he asked me, he's like, look, I don't know if that's true or whatever, you know, what Fahim was talking about, but he had some issues. He had some private issues at where he lives at. And I know the neighborhood where he lives at. It's a tough neighborhood. And he's probably like maybe 45 years old. I'm in my 20s and I'm half his age. And but he thinks, you know, like I'm freaking Superman, you know. So he's like, you know, maybe I can help him out with some guys that are hassling him. And last time he said he got paid and he went home with his paycheck and got robbed at his front door. And he's like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, do you know who robbed you? Because I know the neighborhood. I can go talk to those idiots. I'll get the money back. But he didn't personally know these people. But I had a friend that grew up in that neighborhood. So I called him up to see if he would be willing to come out there with me and meet with this guy and see if we could figure out who these people were and resolve that issue. Because I don't want to hurt people, but that's just I don't know. And maybe I think it's because of prison. It's like you try to talk it out, but if you can't talk it out, then it's gonna get physical. That's just the way it is. There's no walking away from it in prison. And so this is what I'm trying to get into with the whole recidivism thing, and how what prison does to your mind. Um, so my friend, he's unavailable. He can't come out there. This is a place where he grew up and he knows everybody out there, but he's just not available. So I got to go deal with it, and I don't know who the troublemakers are. I don't have a personal relationship with these people, and so I tell my coworker friend, you know, to come over to my house the next day, and after work, and so he comes over to my house, and I got all these guns on the bed, a whole lot, and you know, a lot more than just that little 25, and and so I was like, you know, pick one, pick one. He was like, I'm not gonna go out there and do anything crazy. I was like, no, you're gonna take me out there, and I'm gonna go do the crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I want to make sure that you're armed when I go out there. And so he picked up a sawed off, with well, it was a 12 gauge that was sawed off, and because he said he was in the army before, and that was the weapon he had in the army was it. So he's familiar with a 12 gauge. And so I was like, fine, you take the sawed off. And I took a couple of pistols, and that was one of them, the 25, and then I had a 380, and I was like, let's go out here. You tell me where these guys are, you know what I'm saying, and I'll go up and handle this for you. And so he points them out, and they're at the bus stop. It's just a group of people at the bus stop. I don't know who he's talking about, you know what I'm saying, because there's probably like a dozen or so people at the bus stop that he's put. Yeah, right there. They're over there at the bus stop. I don't know if he means everybody over there at the bus stop or a couple of people and there's some innocent bystander. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So we go to his house and and he's like, how do you want to, you know, what do you think is the best thing to do? And I tell him, I was like, well, we have two options. We can either do the personal or we can do the impersonal. I was like, you got to let me know. I was like, this is your beef. You tell me how you want to do it, personal or impersonal.
Hey, Stephen.
And he said he didn't know what I was talking about. I said, well, I said, personal means that you got to tell me exactly who it is that you want me to handle. And I'll go up and just pop right in the head. Impersonal is basically a drive-by. And so he didn't feel safe with me walking over there and just
Steve.
popping a guy in the head in the middle of a crowd of people. Huh?
We'll have
Yeah,
to,
which,
it's about to stop. This recording is.
okay, we'll pick it up later. We'll
All
pick
right.
it up later.
We can
Okay,
do it later this evening.
Okay.
You know, it's about time for supper anyway, so we can do it later.
okay.
All right.
Yeah, we'll just pick it up later. All right, take care. Bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Stop.